What is good, boys? It is 9:03, and this was a highly requested video on how to find a daily bias and how to, get yourself, ready for market open, and what I do to prepare and what I do to have a bias going into the day. And what better way to do it than do it on a day I'm actually trading, right? So I literally just got on the charts. It's 9:03, as you can see, literally 9 o'clock in the morning. I get on the charts, and the first thing I do, load up TradingView, get on my charts, make sure all my charts are, like where they are supposed to be, right? Yes, and Q. I have, this is the 1 minute, 5 minute, 15 minute, 1 hour, 4 hour. So I have a different chart for every hour just so I can, quickly flip through. And that's what I do. So first thing I do in finding a bias is I start on the 4 hour, okay? What is price doing on the 4 hour, right? We are at all-time highs, okay? We are obviously bullish, right? This is where you just look at the trends, right? I'm looking at the trend of what price is doing on the higher time frames, like the 4 hour, even the daily, right? But the daily and the 4 hour look very similar. So what are we doing on the 4 hour? We are making higher highs and higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. So what am I going to assume? We're going to just continue to trade higher and higher. So that's what I'm expecting, right? We did make some sort of little swing high right here. Can I expect a retracement to this for value gap? Potentially, right? That's, you have to keep that in the back of your mind. You have to mark out these gaps, and you have to keep these things in the back of your mind. So I mark out gaps that we could come into, right? We could retrace into this gap and then sell, and then go higher, right? If this is the top as of right now, we could trade into equilibrium, trade into this value gap, and then reject off of it. So I'm going to keep this here, and this is what I'm seeing on the 4 hour. Again, I am bullish. However, if this doesn't happen in literally like the first 10, 15 minutes of market open, then it might be a bearish day to that, right? So you got to keep that in the back of your mind as well. Okay, then we go down to the 1 hour. Where's the fair value gap? Oh, it's right there. Mark it out again, right? We could retrace to that. We could retrace to this fair value gap before making a move higher, right? But we have a high here, and this high is actually London high. So that's a good high, very high draw on liquidity, right? I like to mark out all the probable draws on liquidity, like the session highs, Asia high, Asia low. In this case, Asia high was taken out, right? It was just ripped all night. And we have London high here, which is also just an external high in the market, right? It's an external high. You could clearly see it's a high, right? So this would be a low that I would mark out, right? For example, there's not really that many lows here. I mean, I would say this is a low here, but this is a previous day low, so I'm not even going to worry about it. There's really not that many lows, right? I guess we could mark out, I guess Asia low, which is right there. We could mark out this little low maybe, right? It might sweep this and want to take out the high, but that's more something on the lower time frames and you can see more clearly. But on the 1 hour, this is what I would look like. You mark out the session highs and lows and any more gaps that it could come trade into. 15 minute, right? You just scale down high time frame, mid time frame, low time frame. You just keep scrolling down and just forming a bias. And again, what do you notice through all three of these? It is still bullish, right? We are still looking bullish. We still have bullish structure, right? Again, we have in the back of our mind, we could have a retracement today into this fair value gap to trade higher ultimately, right? We have an ultimately higher bias of a bullish. However, intraday, we could be trading lower into this gap. However, it is a pretty big jump, I think. Yeah, it's a pretty decent sized jump. Nothing that Nasdaq can't do because the Nasdaq is crazy, can do a lot of good things. But yeah, okay, 15 minute. 15 minute again. We just invalidated this fair value gap, which is a pretty decent sign to go lower. Again, market open could just do anything now. We just invalidated this fair value gap, and we haven't traded as resistance yet. Did we? No, not yet. So we could come trade up into it and then reject it, trade lower. Again, form me into my bias. Or again, this is Asia low. We have that fair value gap right here. So that's that. Again, London high. We have another little high right here. We did have 8:30 news. Didn't really do much. It happened right here. But again, you mark out the gaps. You mark out the highs and lows. Again, we have another little low right here, which is not London low. These are London lows, but around London low right here, which is still intact, so that could get come and taken out. I'll mark that out on the 15 minute. Right, we have all these low resistance lows as our London low here. Right, so we could, again, you start trying to figure out where the market's going to do, right? And again, you don't predict. This is just a forecast, right? I'm expecting kind of lower prices today just because of what's happened. Again, just because today doesn't mean I'm overall bullish, right? Today I'm expecting a retracement into this area just to go higher. So that's what I am seeing today. Okay. 5 minute. You see the 15 minute gap here, right? I should make this gap only on the 15-minute. Right, 5-minute, 15-minute gap is right here. You can also see the 5-minute gap is right there. I don't think I need to mark that out. I can just for the video's sake. Right, 5-minute inversion fair value gap that we are trading into right now. We have this bullet bearish gap up here. Again, we're really close to London lows. Right, we could take out London low and then reverse right off open, right? So all these possibilities are going in my mind. I'm marking out highs and lows, I'm marking out gaps, I'm marking out liquidity, and I'm just kind of playing off, okay, well, what is price respecting? What is price disrespecting, right? What could price do, right? Price could easily just sell off open, take out this low, reverse take out the highs, right? So I'm assuming if it takes out this low off the open, it could reverse up, and take out these highs. Or it could, just trade into this fair value gap and dump. And if it dumps and it keeps dumping through this liquidity, I'm going to have to take a continuation down to this low because this is where that fair value gap is on 4 hour. Right? Where is equilibrium technically? 24,483. Where is that? 24,483. Okay, so it's a lot. It's like all the way down here. So maybe not. It's like down here. But again, this is before that. So this is where it could easily get hit. But right, it could also off open, take out all-time highs, not even touching this, and then sell off. So there's all these possibilities are running around in my head. I'm thinking, what is possible to happen. But again, intraday, short time frame, we are bearish right now, right? Overall, we are bullish. However, intraday, we could have a retracement, which is leading to me, right? We are technically bearish right now. We are technically bearish. We are technically respecting bearish PD raise. And we could easily trade up into this inversion and then sell off, right? That's aligning with structure, right? But overall, I am wanting bullish, right? I'm only taking shorts. I'm only having a bearish bias because it needs to go down before it goes up again, right? It needs to go to some sort of equilibrium. It needs to have some sort of retracement. It's not just going to rip. However, back of my mind, we have all-time highs. Back of my mind, we have FOMC this week, tomorrow. So those are in the back of my mind, right? It could be a choppy day, right? We're at all-time highs. It could just keep ripping because it's all-time highs. That's what it does, right? But I will make another clip after this showing what the market did to show you how the bias I have is normally right? Because doing this for, it took me 7 minutes to do this, right? To form a bias, 7 minutes. For less experienced traders, it might take a little bit longer, but it takes me literally 5 to 10 minutes to form a bias, send it out to my Discord, and normally it's right because I just take time and just focus and look at what price is respecting, look what is disrespecting, and here's the 1 minute, right? I don't really mark out anything on the 1 minute because I'm just waiting for candles to go to my liquidities. But yeah, so you mark out. Here's like a little list, right? This is what you do, right? You start on highest time frame, okay? Then you mark out fair value gaps, liquidity on each time frame, okay? And then you scroll down, you keep scrubbing down. You keep scrubbing down time frames. Marking out highs, lows, and fair value gaps. Okay, and that's pretty much it. You just keep marking out highs, lows, and fair value gaps, and you see. And the last thing I could say is you see what price is respecting and disrespecting. So, for example, in this case, price is respecting bearish PD raise, right? We inverse this fair value gap, disrespecting bullish PD raise, and respecting bearish PD raise. We're trading lower. And also on high time frame, you see, look how we are trending, right? On the 4 hour, we looked, we're trading up and up and up. However, we started making a swing high right here. We could get, maybe we see a little bit of a retracement into one of these fair value gaps, something like that. So this is what I do for a bias, and I'll make another clip right after this video of what the market did, and I'll add a trade recap in there showing you how I used my model that I posted last week, incorporated with this. So that is that. I hope this makes a lot of sense and how I find my daily bias. Again, it should take you 5 to 10 minutes to form a bias, and you should, again, I want to put like a disclaimer here. I'm not marrying this bias. I'm not just assuming, okay, I have a bearish bias going into today. I immediately want shorts. A bearish bias could mean I want these lows taken out just to go higher. I want these lows to go higher just to take out. It's all just probabilities, right? I'm assuming we are going to trade lower for today. I'm assuming that we're at least going to take out London low. We have a possibility of taking out Asia low. But again, we are in all-time highs. You have to just weigh the confluences, right? What is our bullish? What is our bearish, right? There's a lot that we're bearish right now, right? But once we sweep this liquidity, we could trade higher. We're in all-time highs. You don't really want to short all-time highs, but we are getting good legs down. We have a bunch of inversion gaps right here. We have a lot of sell side below us. So it's just, you don't marry, this bias. You don't marry like the bias you have. You only have the bias to give yourself a structure of what you could see today and how to go into it more educated, more informed, right? I want to go into today. I'm assuming we might go down a little bit, right? But for my model, I want to see liquidity sweep. So maybe we got to trade above one of these highs or something, trade into this for value gap or something. So that's that. I'll make a clip after this video. Peace. All right. What do you know? I was able to find a win today. My bias played out perfectly. So if you literally compare what I just said in the last clip to now, what exactly happened? We traded this off of inversion and just dumped, and we hit Asia lows. We still haven't hit equilibrium yet, but again, that's a higher time frame. That might not even be hit today. I mean, ideally it will be, but this is the trade I took today. And it was not exactly my model. It was pretty much off of just the bias I had, and it was just I'm pretty much just showing you guys how I use my bias to be able to tweak my model. So I trade off a liquidity sweep, market structure shift, fair value gap reversals. However, this was pretty much a continuation, down to Asia low. So obviously, I just told you what I wanted to see my bias, right? I wanted to see these lows taken out and then maybe get a reversal higher. Something along those lines. We had equilibrium, but we took out London low, right off open. Then we started chopping around, bad wicks here. And then we get a retracement, and then this is where I thought we would start, trading up again and maybe take out these highs or something like that. But then we ended up dumping again, leaving a fair value gap. This is a lot of confirmation to the downside. This is really good. Like, all right, it doesn't look like we're going to want to go up, and I'm able to risk. ES was looking very similar too. And what time is it right here? 9:45, right before the macro. Perfect entry for me. We trade up into it. I enter off this down close candle right here when it trades into the fair value gap. Stop above the high. First take profit was at London or Asia low, and then I had my second take profit where equilibrium was to see if it was just going to keep dumping to it, and it never did. I traded 2 minis on this, so I traded 20 micros. I took 10 off here, and then I got stopped out, break even on the rest right here. But this just shows how I literally told you this was a real-time analysis. I got on at 9 o'clock. You literally saw it is now 10:45 in the morning. 10:45 in the morning. I told you I wanted lows. I said my exact reasoning why, right? We made a swing high up here. We started getting legs down, right? We were in bearish. We just invalidated fair value gaps. And now look at us. We're dumping towards, that low, or to equilibrium. I showed you guys the exact reason why I wanted the lows. I found a trade aligning with my bias towards the lows, and this just shows if you literally have a strong bias, it really doesn't matter how you enter. If you just are in line with the bias, you could find a way to win today. So entered off a fair value gap again, educated, and took profit right here, and then had extended take profits down here at equilibrium, and it ended up stopping me break even. What can you do? And that's pretty much it. That's how I find the daily bias, and that's how it's used in real time. And I just showed you a real-time example of it, and yeah. So hope you guys learned how to find daily bias, learned how I do it, and I hope this helped you guys, and peace.